By making strategic alliances, you can get access to other products or services or technology or research or distribution or customer service or logistics that you normally wouldn't have yourself, and that brings greater advantage to your client. You must maintain honesty and integrity always in all dealings, even if it's not a profitable one, even if you lose money. You know, Spike and I just spent $14,000 I could have gone and spent on clothes or you know, electronics or put a down payment on a car to reinvest in you because it's the right thing to do. You must see your company as national rather than local or regional. Even if you never get there, there's a quote by an advertising master from the United States. He says, if you set your sights on the moon and the stars, one thing is certain, you will never end up with a handful of mud. So you may not get it there, but you're not going to be operating down here. And that's a good reference model for you. Set your sights high, develop a plan, and reverse engineer it. But don't accept mediocrity if you deserve greatness. And there is a section, there was a mistake, I realized that in the middle of the night, my subconscious woke me up. That thing that said how to create greatness, that slide is a mistake. It's a combination of two things. One is how to create great ideas and breakthroughs. The other is how to create greatness. In the workbook, I believe, there is a section on how to create greatness. And it came from interviews I did of great people like Stephen Covey and people who are really masters at seeing how the most effective and prosperous and respected companies in the West operate. And I tried to distill it down. I would suggest when you go home, and that's when the workbook becomes valuable, that you carefully review that. I believe it's in your workbook. It's very good stuff to reflect on. Number 16, you must develop tenacity and perseverance to survive days and nights of anxiety. I believe a little differently. I believe that once you get control of your business, once you operate strategically, once you understand that when you bring in people in the front door, you know exactly what they'll be worth to you 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, because you have the strategy and preeminence, and you're always adding more back ends and figuring better ways to prosper and monetize from them, that you can eliminate very much of the stress and the anxiety that many of your counterparts in competitive businesses will be struggling with the rest of their lives. This is very liberating. You must manage your company for constant mistake avoidance. You may remember yesterday I talked about how I always think about forks in the road. Problems, what happens if this doesn't work, what's your backup or your hedge strategy. You need to do that constantly using critical thinking. 18, you must win your clients back again and again. Remember I told you you don't sell them once, you have to constantly be selling them over and over again? 19, you must apply a fail-safe range of management checkpoints and control. Some of the greatest experts in business growth have said that predictability is the greatest factor in growth. You can't have predictability if you don't know performance metrics. You can't have performance metrics if you don't have a system controlling, analyzing, measuring, and improving them. It doesn't have to be real sophisticated. It just has to be a good constant pulse of where you are. You'll never get surprised. You'll never fail if you always keep track of where you are at critical steps in the process every week or month or year. 20, you must establish a corporate philosophy that stresses quality and service. You can't alone do this. Like, I've talked about it. You can't go back and talk. We're trying to live it and demonstrate it. The way you'll get your staff to follow suit is to start demonstrating it through action. Remember that strategy preeminence. Show rather than tell. 21, you must develop an error-free reporting system. Same thing. 22, you must constantly seek to pay minimum taxes but always stay within the law. You know, that's a business philosophy. 23, you must diversify into those areas that fit and supplement your business. You've got to constantly grow, penetrate new markets, add ancillary products, get access to complementary or extension products and services. 24, you must find something worthwhile to do with the money you earn. I mean, you need purpose, you need passion, you need possibility, and you need contribution. 25, you must sell your company or service when you're no longer excited about what you do. Because you're stealing from yourself and you're stealing from your clients. I like that. Are we ready?
Yeah, just one of the points that I wanted to make, because a couple of people were a little bit confused about the fact that Jay didn't cover every single point. He was covering the highlights and the ones that he thought were most important for where you are in this stage of the process. It's in your manual. You have the opportunity to read it in its complete form later, but he was emphasizing the ones that he thought were particularly important.
This is just listening philosophy. This is not what I'm doing right this moment. You don't need to go and read every word. Let your mind take it in. By the third day, you should trust us enough to let the process work for you. Don't go back to the mindset you came in with, saying, I need to correlate right now this to that. That's not what this is about. It's about letting your subconscious do the job that it was created to do when you were conceived. Are we ready for coffee? Okay, we're good. You ready? Yes? Is coffee there? Let's make sure. Don't do anything yet. Let's just make sure I don't send them out to nothing. Just a moment. When we come back, we're going to review a couple of very important points, just so you're clear on what we've learned, what embellishment Spike did last night. Then we're going to spend about an hour and a half on strategic alliances, partnering, and joint ventures. We're going to go have an hour lunch, and then we're going to come back, and you are going to spend about 2 hours at your table, and we're going to start you building out a first attempt at an integrated, strategic, customized marketing plan. And then we're going to have you discuss what you have created with your table, and we're going to find the best ones and discuss them at the mics. And that's going to take us to most of the end of the day, and then we'll wrap it up and deal with other issues. But I enjoy you a lot. I'm very pleased. But keep focused on the process. Don't go back to the rigid, linear thought process you might have brought with you. We're trying to expand your sense of possibility. Is there coffee? Okay, 20-minute break. Come back in 20 minutes so we can move on. Thank you. Before we start this section, this is a really important one, I need to make another announcement. This is really an interesting, challenging program. Spike and I have done programs all over the world, and all kinds of interesting problems befall us. Apparently, our lead translator is sick. I don't know if she's back or not. But that puts a lot of pressure on the two support translators who aren't as fluent in understanding my language patterns. I apologize, because I really was disappointed that the story I was trying to tell earlier didn't get translated, but now I understand why. I would like to ask that the people who do speak English, who listened to me in the previous section, may verify for me with people that they really got and were told the same thing that I was trying to convey, and if not, help clarify it for them. I'm going to try very diligently to speak slowly and use really short sentences for the rest of this time so that I can make it easier for the translators to try to convey to you what I want you to hear. And I can just say, I hope that what I'm trying to say comes across. Spike? Okay, we are doing partner or perish. I do not think it's to your advantage to find this in the workbook if it's in the workbook. Oh good, it's not in the workbook, so you can't find it anyhow. I'm not going to tell any jokes for the next hour because I know the translators won't be able to translate. Okay? All right. So we want to talk about strategic alliances. We want to tie those to your strategic objectives. We want to provide you with a strategic alliance inventory and opportunity audit process so you can figure out who are the best sources to do joint ventures, strategic alliances, and the like with. We want to show you how to convert what I'm going to teach you in the next hour or so to action. Obviously, when you have brutal competition, a disloyal market, trying to commoditize your products and services, people have lots of different alternatives they can choose from. Everyone's fear, apprehensive, uncertain. There are few trusted advisors out there. A strategic alliance is probably the most powerful way to credibility, to access a market, and to build trusted response, patronage, and success that you have. I know they said this works from afar, but it doesn't. Strategic alliances are nothing more than old-fashioned partnering, but they have a strategic twist. Strategy is the overriding driver. You do these to get to your strategic objectives. It's a means to dramatically expand and enhance your ability to generate markets, create business, build clients and customers, establish greater image or posture or brand, produce much greater profitability, all with minimal expenditure. There's an EX missing. Expenditure of time, effort, expense, manpower, risk. Very low cost, very high yield. The opportunities are limitless, as you are about to see. Mistake, pardon me. You are only limited to your inventiveness, your ability to look inside and outside your business and see opportunities that you can seize upon. Mergers and acquisitions aren't the only way to go. Strategic alliances are becoming rapidly the greatest growth vehicles that larger corporations are using worldwide. There is no reason that any SME can't use it even more masterfully, even more strategically, even more profitably on a relative basis. This just shows stuff that's not important. The number of alliances are growing 20,000 in the States, around the world. They're growing, and it's just really important. I don't know what that says. Doesn't really matter. Okay, strategic alliances can be a partnership in which you combine efforts in anything from, these are the possible kind of things you could do. You could go with a bunch of people to try to get a better price for goods by buying in bulk together as a group. You could work to seek business together by collaborating or co-branding with each other. Alliances represent an essential strategy for achieving more top-line growth, far higher profitability, and much greater enhanced business franchise. Makes your brand more prominent on a nationwide, worldwide basis. You have numerous benefits for everyone involved. Keep in mind, you don't have to write a lot down because you're going to get this. Will the English-speaking participants sort of nod and tell me, are they translating what I'm saying reasonably well? They are? Good. Okay. Okay. Not good or good? Good? Okay. All right, Raymond? Okay. Stop if I'm good, because this is really important to me. Today's such a critical day. I don't want to lose anyone because I'm talking fast and they're struggling, okay? Okay, thank you. Okay. 9 major benefits of strategic alliances. You achieve advantages of scale, scope, or speed. You can tie into other people's infrastructure. You can tie into somebody's much bigger distribution or reach. You can move almost instantly without having to build a business, infrastructure, technology, personnel. You can increase market penetration almost instantaneously. You can enhance competitiveness in local, national, or international markets by aligning with somebody whose name, reputation, and distribution is impressive. You can enhance product development by letting other people do much or all of the work and the research and the expense for you. You can develop new business opportunities through new products and services you either acquire, get the rights to, or take over from somebody else who developed them. You can expand market development. You can go into as many markets as you want, as quickly as you want, without having to worry about having the capital or the personnel or the distribution facilities. You can just use everybody else's. You can diversify. You can create new businesses. You can create total new businesses to complement, to offset maybe drops in the industry you're in. You can dramatically reduce costs because the incremental sales you generate from these partnerships are many times more profitable. It doesn't have the same labor or overhead attached that it does if they all come through, your normal operation. Apologies to the people on the left. I'm not trying to disacknowledge you. I'm sorry, I don't have great eye contact, but I'm trying to read this because if I point it over there, it screws up the PowerPoint, so apologies. 43 additional success factors that I personally think make strategic alliances very exciting. 1, once you know how to do them, they're very easy to establish. A lot easier than penetrating a market yourself and starting from scratch. They can dramatically augment or increase your own selling effort or efforts. They can tremendously increase your sales and profitability. They lower totally the barrier of entry. You can penetrate new markets instantaneously when you get a free ride along somebody else's sales distribution, somebody else's sales personnel, somebody else's mailing list, somebody else's website, somebody else's trade show. You can enhance your image, stature, and posture. In the United States, when we started doing seminars, we did strategic alliances with 25 of the most respected, prestigious investment advisors, business achievement experts, magazines, and authors. I got such exalted credibility instantaneously because they had worked years and years to build theirs, and I got to take advantage of it ethically by their endorsement, by their recommendation, by their introducing me to their buyers. You can expand your customer or client base rapidly. You can boost market presence. You can be in the marketplace all of a sudden and be huge. If you let somebody else, introduce you throughout their sales organization, their client base. You can provide added value to your, clients, to your customers. You can, by making strategic alliances, you can get access to other products or services or technology or research or distribution or customer service or logistics that you normally wouldn't have yourself, and that brings greater advantage to your client. By the way, without making you confused, strategic alliances go both ways. Most of the things we're talking about right now are things you can do through other people's organizations and entities. However, you can do the opposite. If you have a large company and you have a lot of clients and you have a bunch of salespeople or a bunch of email lists or a bunch of traffic or a bunch of distributors or a bunch of retailers, you can go backwards and put things through your system. You can do both, and we recommend you do both because we do both all the time. We get lots of other people promoting and endorsing and partnering with us, but we also partner internally to our couple 100,000 buyers with them, and we make money both ways, and we expand our markets both ways, and we get control of opportunities both ways, and that's what you should start thinking about. You can contribute substantially to perceived client benefits, the same thing as the value. You can enter emerging markets. If you wanted to enter a market, like the gentleman here was talking about Malaysia, the motorcycle man, and he said, it's a great market, and in certain ways it isn't even as competitive for certain products than China. But then he said, I have a partner there that gets us access. Well, and he's got 2 or 3 plants there. What if you could get a partner that could get you the same or double the volume in another market, in another country, in another province, in another city? And all you had to do was provide the product or service. They rendered it, they stored it, they warehoused it, they supported it. But you got half or more of the profit. It could double or triple your income because all that extra sales go almost all to the bottom line. Remember the 3-way to grow a business model and the geometric increase? Well, it's even better with this because all the extra business you do goes right to the bottom line. We're here in China, but we had last week 3 partner deals go on when we weren't here. Worst case, we will make $400,000 from those, and I'm not even doing anything. I set it up. We worked out how to play off of there, how to access their email list and their buyer list. We gave them the directions and the sales material to send out. They did it. We sit down and we'll fill the orders and make $400,000 while I'm not even working there. That's how powerful this is, and that's a couple of weeks' work. I'm talking 400,000 US, not RMB. You can expand your horizons. We've talked about raising your sights and your vision. But if your vision is I want to be all over China, but you've got $12 in your pocket, that might be hard. But if your vision is I want to be all over China, and because I have $12 in my pocket, I'm going to do it initially through all kinds of ingenious and strategic alliances where other people put up the capital or the infrastructure or the access to the markets. And I masterminded because I am a strategic marketer now that Jay taught me marketing mastery.
Jay.
Yes, sir.
Could I just make an example of what you were just building on
Sure.
with emails? When Jay was talking about the email promotions, I'll just walk you through very quickly how we went about doing that. Number one, we identified a marketplace that had a need for a product or service that we had available. The second thing that we did is that we identified the person who had access to that marketplace. We facilitated a relationship where they benefited from the product and service being sold to the marketplace. They made the offer, we gave them the advertisement, we gave them the marketing materials, they did the promotion, we collect the money, and we pay them a share of the profits.
And that's just one example, but then you've got enormous possibilities. You're only limited by the ideas that you're creative, inventive, innovative, possibility-based thinking can generate and make happen. You get speed access to a wide variety of new markets. As I said, you can be as many places as you want instantly. We've got a team of people we've recruited who we have joint venture deal makers working for us all over the world. All over the world. We got access over the world and we have none of them on our payroll. They paid us actually to learn how to do it. We turned it into a profit center, an ethical one. They knew the deal. We didn't want to even entrust them until they had demonstrated capability. But your only limitations are what you can conceive. Expand beyond the geographic boundaries you're limited to right now. You can gain a foothold in international marketplaces in ways you could never do on your own. You can control other people's markets. You can control markets that your competitors right now have access to because you get a partner in a totally other field but who has access to the same buyers to joint venture with you, and all of a sudden, overnight, your credibility, your size, your impact is many times bigger than the competitor.